Hello and welcome back to day 2 of Collaborate Virtual, the free online instalment of our annual conference, Collaborate. I'd like to say a huge thanks to George Moriarty for a fantastic talk this morning. And before I introduce our next session, at 3 p.m. UK time today, we have Liz Hubert and Diana Sonis of CX by Design with their talk, Honest Collaboration, collaborating when things get real. Sign-ups are still open, so if you haven't yet registered for that, just head over to Eventbrite and you can grab your free pass there. Up now, though, we have José Rosa, Head of Product at You, and Emily Trotter, Principal UX Designer and Illustrator here at Nomensa, with their session, Collaborating to Thrive. In this session, José and Emily will guide you through the You journey and discuss how collaboration helped encourage the best work from 2 teams who are working in different countries during the pandemic. They'll share the fails and tales which resulted in delivering an excellent customer experience and building a legacy for continuous improvement. As always, please say hello in the chat. Just make sure your settings are switched to panelists and attendees, and do let us know if there's any issues with the stream or audio or anything like that. Please do submit your questions too using the Q&A function, and I'll get through as many as these at the end. We're using auto-generated captions. Some of these might not be 100% accurate, but when we share the talks publicly on the YouTube channel, we will ensure these transcripts are accurate. So without further ado, I will hand over to José and Emily.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Yeah, I guess so. So as Henry said, like we've invited José to join us today because we've been on quite the journey together over the past year or two. And yeah, just wanted to talk to everyone about the collaborative process we've been sharing together with our wider teams to design this pioneering new app called You, which successfully launched in Switzerland and a number of other countries earlier in the summer. So we're going to discuss the process and the result using 3 themes like why, how, and what for the next 45 minutes or so, and then yeah, invite you to ask any questions at the end. So some intros first. So I'm Emily. I'm a principal UX designer and illustrator here at Nomensa. I've got a background in illustration. That's what I did my degree in, as well as user experience and design. So I've been working in creative agencies for 10 years now. 4 of these are at Nomensa. Yeah, José, do you want to do a bit of an intro?
Yeah, okay, so welcome everyone. So quick introduction also, I'm now currently the head of product for You. So this newly, very new company, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. As a background, I'm a designer. And I've also worked for creative agencies, mainly web and interface agencies. So mostly dedicated to that. And then went through in-house teams and leading also teams right now before this experience at Swisscode. So that's a little bit of me.
Cool. And then, yeah, I guess the third intro then is to the app. And we're going to do this via a short video. So here we go.
Tried accept the simple truth to let my feelings show and open up to you. But you find the feel like yourself when you find it love someone in the different depth. It's funny how you find the feel like yourself when you find it love someone in the different depth. Hey, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So on to theme 1 then, which is why was You created? So I don't know, yeah, José, do you want to tell us about the ambition and stuff behind the product?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I can jump on that. So first of all, I hope you've all liked the video. This was very exciting to do, and it has influenced a lot of stuff also on the branding part. But then Emily, she will come to that. But right now, why was you created? So for us, as a company working at Swissquote, and we also you is a joint venture right now. So the ambition of both companies was to have something that that would get a big share of the market, because right now we wanted to expand our offer. We were all into trading, but we wanted also to give something to our clients, which was not just trading. So as it was in our DNA to build innovation from the start, because Swissquote, if some of you guys know Swissquote, we have been democratizing finance by already giving free financial information from in the last 25 years in Switzerland. So we were one of the first to give the live quotes. This is why it's like it was called Swissquote in the beginning. So and it was a really exciting moment in the neobank landscape. So a lot of people coming to launch new products with just a credit card, or just trying to get the finance together and everything. And also the market was being very, very crowded. So it was a really good moment to say, what could we give to our clients, and to jump on that market, because we knew only the good ones would survive. We know there's a lot of people now getting into the market with these types of solutions, but in the end, only the good ones with the good motivations and the security there will be the ones that will thrive. And this is what we wanted to do, to get a solid product to our clients, so that they could rely on, and not just an external product that comes from either another company or another market that comes into the Swiss market. And this was really the idea, to get the boundaries around our own territory, so that we could offer to our territory first what would be the good product to our clients there. Yeah, this is really the why we did create this.
Yeah, and like from our point of view as an agency, when the brief came through, we could, just from the way like it was sort of written and presented, we could tell that we shared like an aligned passion, the two agencies, for excellence in user experience design, like as José was just describing. Yeah, Swissquote clearly like understood the importance of design in that way. And from a sector perspective, like we'd worked with financial clients before, and we're excited to get like deeper into that world. And this brief, obviously with a traditional, like established organisation in Switzerland, who are known for being, you know, engineers first, creating these financial tools which are available. But then this new op, where you wanted to reach like a millennial market, we knew that, you know, you'd be able to create this sub-brand. So all the skill sets and like resources are there, but with the approach of a fresh new product without kind of any legacy holding things back. So it's kind of like a startup mentality with that freedom to move quickly, but with the established backing, which we knew would be able to mean we could work in like a more free-form creative way. And also, you know, because we would be creating this new brand and product together, we'd have this kind of equal footing as teams, I think, and that was an exciting prospect, because we knew it would mean it would allow like social capital to emerge as we're on this journey together, having like sorry, there's a fly around me. Summer's here. Yeah, equal like level of knowledge on the brand and the product as it emerged. And yeah, the third thing from like the market perspective was, you know, as you were saying, there was this like rise in giving younger people the ability to trade, which had become really popular, like with, you know, the likes of Revolut, Robinhood, etc. But you know, we would be thinking of these three key pillars, like the pay, save and invest, under one roof holistically, designing them in parallel from the outset. So there was all these like exciting things, you know, in the brief.
Exactly.
And we were like, yeah, dead excited to get in there and try and work with you.
Yeah. And if I can just add something, Emily, there was also the differentiator, what we really wanted to our clients there. And in terms then of design and design process, what we were doing is that how do we differentiate? And there's like a couple of factors in here. And as you say, we wanted really to become the first app to give this financial freedom. So this was our first step, because we had already been doing stuff in the past, but when going to a target audience that is dedicated more to the millennials, then we needed to really check what they wanted. And we got there by knowing that security of a bank, for instance, was very important, or also the pricing, having lower fees, offering a free card for this audience, and also the regulation. And behind all of this, there were also the design principles, what we discussed in the end, and the way we developed the app, not just to be another gamified trading app, but something that had that delight of an app, of a modern app, but not gamifying all of this. It's just the idea of it's an easy access to your finance, it's an easy access to your own money, and you could do what you wanted with your money and not having people controlling it. So the sum of all of these then gave idea to these three pillars, which were the pay, the save, and then the invest one, which are now the core of the app, and which the design was around all of it.
Yeah.
So the differentiator really goes into that sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you say, like not gamifying it, but making sure it's like simple and allowing people to gain that knowledge as they used it, and like delve deeper into things as they become more experienced in the tools and things that are available within the app, which obviously wouldn't be possible without the experience being on point. So yeah, it's,
yeah, exactly. So that's the main reason why we created you, because we wanted to give access to our target audience, people were already with us. Some clients of ours, maybe they appreciate Swiss code, or others they appreciate also post finance, but the experience was not at the top. And this is where we focused also, and we created this to give a better experience to people while handling finance. And without doing that, without having that in mind from the beginning, maybe we would not have created this experience, which is the app. We would have created something else, some kind of evolution, either for one company or for the other. But we had this in mind, that the market is here, and there's this need of people to having already on their pockets this type of solution. Banks, we know they're not being well accepted anymore because they're too expensive, and this is a problem today. It has always been a problem, but the younger audiences, if you want to give them access to this, you need to understand that they are searching for something else. And the way economy goes, people they would like to handle stuff differently, and they will understand more and more if you give them the right content and the right experiences, so that they can handle their finances. So this is the mindset also underlying the experience of you.
That sums it up really nicely. So yeah, I guess we should move on to the how. So how did we collaborate? And I think it'd be interesting to hear from your point of view then how you felt the collaboration began. How did we find our way?
I think we both find a way, but I think it is I don't know our panel of our audience, people that are listening to us, but if you've worked in an agency, or you worked in-house, everything starts like with a pitch, and then you're pitching for something. So there's this big problem of how we're going to solve this, and then you need partners to the sparring partners to discuss with this. And of course, we have also a product design team, which is within Swissquote, and we have a big, strong project management and product management and in development, a big team of development within Swissquote. But in here, the collaboration, it was to see how can we, we know we have the knowledge of the how we develop and of our audience, but we want more than this. And then it all started with the pitch, like 1, 2, 3 agencies, and we wanted to find not just the agency for the skills, but we wanted to find the agency also for the people, because we immediately got 2 or 3 big agencies within the project, but they didn't felt like so enthusiastic within with the brief. Some of them really challenged the brief. For us, it was okay, but what we wanted is to see if people were aligned to really dive and to the project and go and move forward with us. If they would believe it, we knew that we would also try to manage everything. We try to manage this. And I think one of the factors of this success, I would say, is that everyone in the end wanted the same thing. So this was one of the ways to collaborate. So we took a look at that together and we said, is this really what we want? Is this what Nomensa wants? Is it Swissquote and PostFinance? Is this what they want also? So in here, there was already that idea, and you guys, you really wanted, and we wanted also to participate that. And then there was this kind of the recognition of expertise on both sides. So it started also like that. We started to understand. So what was the expertise here? What you were doing and what we were supposed to do. So what we had to deliver, because in the end, it was not just Nomensa delivering stuff, because Nomensa is, of course, they were responsible for delivering in the end a very good result, because we already had teams working on the background to establish all the infrastructure. And it was like, this is like the final piece that we were like, okay, so what is going to happen? And in the end, I think also it was related to clear guidance and feedback. And in here, it all started like this. So it's like, you wanted clear guidance and we needed to give you a feedback which was very effective, because we were running out of time and we wanted to get our product out. So there was a big understanding here, and all these 3 points, like everybody wanted the same thing, recognition about expertise and trust, and then in the end, the clear guidance and feedback. And it all starts like this, everybody wanting the same thought and going to the same direction. And I think this was one of the clear things that helped a lot in the experience.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, I guess those early days, I wasn't personally part of the pitch process, but I was the team. You could feel the energy from them when they were preparing, all the the prototype and stuff that they took on the day. And there was a big buzz around the office of stuff that they were putting together to show you on the day, and just everyone was really excited to be part of that. And especially when we got the news that we'd won it, that was a good moment. And I guess there was that kind of formative time when you guys came over to Bristol. I don't know if you want to describe that, and then I'll kind of describe my thoughts on it too.
I can describe our end. In our end, and this is no secret, because we felt that we're not being on both sides, there was not a good understanding in saying, okay, so this is really what we want, and this is what we, and you guys would say, okay, so this is how we think we should be. And then in my head, I said to my to Jan, which is our chief and sales marketing officer, like I need to go there because I think without this human contact, we're going to lose something big, and there is so much potential, but there's so much expectation at the same time that we need to align. We need to get together, and we need to be on the same playground. If we're not there on the same team, things will not move forward as we would wish. And the expectations that we had, because we already did the pitch, but now it was the time really to start developing stuff, and you were receiving new things daily from our product design team in terms of UX flows and everything, and you had to work on those screens and to imagine what is the experience here, because there's a transformation. There's not just because when you're receiving something from a client, you say, what is really my leverage here? What can we do in terms of creativity, in terms of experience? Can we change stuff? Can we not change stuff? But if we don't do that, if we don't go into the if we're not invited into your place, we cannot explain that. And you guys, you said it, for you it was okay for us to come, and for me, in my mind, I'd say, okay, so let's go. And I think in 3 days we can bring to life something which is already the basis to the rest of the product, of the remaining project, what needs to be done. And then, yeah, I took the plane with Nyong from product design team within Swisscode, and we went through, guys. And in terms of scheduling and planning, what I had in mind, it was like a big thing. And I remember, we don't see here in these pictures, but it was like, I had like, we needed to solve style and branding, like iconography, typography, colors, all of that. And then we needed to also go through interactions, haptics, all of that. And then solve the home screen, and then go to all of that. And it was so big in the end that when I got there, the first thing we did is that we aligned everything with what we had seen that pleased us, and you guys also, so that we could do this branding aspect of it. So the logo already existed. We had created in here within Swisscode. Then it opened a little bit the styling part for that. But then, like 3 days. First day it was getting everything done, and the idea was like each 3 hours of work, we'd stop, we'd show, we'd discuss, and then we would continue, iterate, and do this. And for 3 days we did this in a perfectly timely manner, and we were able to define branding already. I remember you going through a lot of animations and doing them on Keynote. It's like so fast, and I was like, how can they do this so fast? It's so good. It's so amazing. So it was that moment there, like the 3 days with that schedule, and it was so precise. Everybody knew exactly what they needed to do. And we had the what's it called, the sprint master? No, what was his name? He was with us. It was finally like a big
JT,
guy.
Yeah, JT.
Yeah,
he was.
JT was always there, like getting the security guy. Okay, what do you need to do? What do you need to do? So stand up, like a regular stand up, but with this guy, like very big guy there, sitting there and looking at you. So did you do what you had to do? And it was on the client side and also on agency side. So everybody was aligned on the same thing. We're playing on the same rules, on the same territory, and to get something done quickly. The photo we see here, like in my right, left, where Chris is pointing out to the orange and all of that. I remember it was already late in the day, on first day, I think, and yeah. And then there was also, I think, Jake working on animations and all that, like everybody in the same room working at the same time build it up, and it was incredible.
Yeah, and I guess from our experience on our side, we'd created those like super early concepts, I think, during the pitch, which were really like super like meme and GIF related, you know, like Homer Simpson GIFs and 8-bit coins and the Scrooge McDuck like going into the money, and like that. I think we just went too far into the younger generation spectrum, and like this is before we had that gelling meeting in Bristol, because as you know, we then discussed how you know, just because it's aimed at millennials doesn't mean it can't be like a premium product. So then we went really far in the other direction and started looking at more like premium designs, you know, classic Swiss design with the typography and, you know, 3D graphics we got really excited about, and ultimately like pushed us too far in the other direction. And I think in order to find that like that balance and that kind of sweet spot and something that, you know, the right thing for the brand, what those 3 days kind of helped us do was, I think we were almost becoming victims of our you know, our design pride and kind of sending you quite polished stuff. So that obviously meant, you know, there was kind of more time spent on, you know, the presentation of it and building it a bit further in a direction before we were comfortable sharing it with you. Whereas when we were there in the room together, it allowed us to kind of, you know, like you were saying, you know, creating those quick keynote mock-ups, because that was the quickest way of doing it at the time. You know, we wanted to communicate, oh, it's not just a static design here, like the elements would move together, and that's actually part of the visual. You know, you need to kind of describe that and see it in one go. But because we were in the room together working to these like scheduled but quite tight turnarounds, we kind of understood really quickly that you wanted to get involved in the grafting and shaping and see those really like rough and rapidly produced ideas in their inception, and you know, the discussions we'd have around those even before we started working, or just you know, articulating things by pointing at things on the screen. It just enabled us to work in a more efficient way, I think, to get to that conclusion of you know, what is this brand and what feels right and what doesn't. So yeah, it was really important for us to like formulate that understanding and create that kind of foundation for our working relationship. And also what, you know, what it meant to us was that it gave us all, after those few days, like a real shared sense of ownership over what we'd produced together in that room. And that, I do feel like that's such an important foundation to this product as well, because everybody has that, you know, that shared excitement and ownership and pride. And pride in your work ultimately means that, you know, you're gonna put all of your energy into it as well, doesn't it? So I think that was really important too. Yeah,
it's really what you have here, like the sweet spot. I think it was really where we were when we were there, and I think it's the trust and to thriving in collaboration. You need to have this trust, and you need to know exactly what is your leverage as a partner and our leverage as a client, because having someone saying no to you as a partner for the client side, it's so if we would had a relationship which was a money relationship, where that like, oh, well, you're saying no, I'm paying for that. And this is not how it happens today, because the model, it in our case, in our perspective, for me, as I already worked in agencies and also in-house for a long time, I know that asking for something without being clear and specific and getting expectations there, it is not the way to do it, because you will get what you want. And getting what you want is not always the good experience, because you say, oh, I want this, really, this is what I want. But in here, we're not talking about neither Nomensa or you company. We're talking about what the user, this target audience, wants, and also what we feel it could play, because we have our expertise, and we went for that. And everybody working on the project, they were so proud of saying, so yeah, I have this friend, and maybe you remember this, like, oh, people were trying the product, like they really like the product, and we started to feel that this was very good, and then it started to move forward with that sense of ownership that you were talking about, because everybody could participate in that, and that also gets less frustration from people executing and less frustration from people who are demanding. So if you get all this into one basket, in the end you'll say, so everybody is winning. The client in the end, he will be winning also, because what he's going to get, it's like a product of passion almost. Because if you see the most part of these neobanks that we see today, even in their communication, either they're like, okay, it's in terms of performance, in terms of app performance, in terms of communication and all this, they come from a digital era. But in here, what we see is that this branding, this part of the app, this app is more of about a question of a passion product. It's not just something we want to give to people, okay, with some 2 or 3 numbers. No, it's not that. It's much more. And this is where we invested a lot of our time, with you guys saying, this needs to be another love product, and not just a product that will go and give you the numbers. No, this did not interest us at the moment, because it needed to be more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, you mentioned like all the different kind of personalities and skill sets in the room together was a point I was going to raise as well, like, because between our teams, Nomensa and Swissquote, we had all these skill sets. Some of them were shared, and some of them were kind of specific skill sets to people and specialisms, and and having access to all of that, and like ideas passing through many minds, being discussed and pulled apart and kind of plussed, and people getting excited and adding their own ideas. It was the T-shaped practitioner diagram, like in action, where we were all kind of lined up alongside each other, and able to share that and bring our own skill sets to the table, and respected each other's ideas, and nobody was. It was definitely an environment where everybody felt really comfortable, like you say, either challenging something or adding a new idea. So I think the balance of both of those things was quite key. And it's not easy to get to that point sometimes with a client. So I think that was one of the real successes, was that we were able to do that and have like that one team mentality, I suppose.
This really influenced this collaboration had really influenced the output then in the end, because it was so intense at some point that everybody felt the same team. So the collaboration in here was so it really felt like a collaboration, and not just another project or another side project or another project from us also, and also on your part, like so it really influenced what came out in the end, and the output. So it was good from that part.
And I put a note on, like, were there any challenges, and I think one of the obvious ones that would have come up was obviously the pandemic, but it didn't, in the end, kind of didn't really affect us, because we're an international agency anyway. We're used to working with international clients, and we'd already kind of had those ways of working set up, and we'd had that experience of being together in one room before the pandemic began as well. So that was a plus on our side. But I think in a way having this project that began in earnest for me in January 2020, and it kind of continued on, this kind of train moving along a track, continuing on, gave me an anchor to hang on to of normality during the turbulent ups and downs and tragedies of what was going on in the wider world. So it was, personally, it was also quite a nice thing to have going on that you could kind of anchor onto. But I don't know, do you feel like there were any other challenges that spring to mind that we haven't mentioned?
Yeah, so I would say some challenges, maybe culture challenges. Yeah, obviously you guys are in the UK and you're in Switzerland, so it's quite a big in terms of culture, it's a little bit different. So the way we say things, I'm Portuguese, so I tend to say things, if I have something to say, I would say, and I tend to shut up if nothing comes to mind. But in terms of culture, yeah, that could have been a gap. And one of the biggest challenges, I think, it would be the misunderstanding because we had skills in-house, and this at some point was maybe one challenge because everybody wanted to give their own side of the experience, and on the other end, so this was a challenge to manage it. And then scalability also, because we had to do so many things, and in this designing something which was looked good, functional, and then could be scalable was also a challenge, because the app is so deep and what you see is not that deep. So you see okay, so it's so good, so simplified. So designing out the complexity was really a challenge. And getting stuff that was done in the app that no other bank could have done it until now, which was the case for savings, and then having a savings account within your account that you can withdraw money instantly without paying fees and everything. This is so good. So in a real bank, usually in Switzerland, you have a savings account, where you have the savings account and you need to go and you need to have your own IBAN. And in here we wanted to, from the beginning, to have this. So yeah, pretty good technical challenges, cultural challenges, and then skill challenges also. But in the end, we overcame this, and it was okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting. You bring that up about having all these really in-depth kind of technical challenges of some of the intricacies of what you can't do in the financial world, and things like the onboarding process took a really long time to pick apart and design. But I think one of the next things we're going to come on to is the fact we were working in sprints. I think really kind of helped to nail all of that, because the sprint ceremonies, while we were working through all of that kind of in-depth UX stuff, like the IA and the structure of journeys and the user research and content mapping, all of that kind of stuff. We were doing these sprints where we'd have daily stand-ups and sprint planning and sprint demos, and all those different voices in the room were invited to this stuff. And I think one of the disciplines we had to learn quite quickly was when to pause a discussion and be okay, well, we're not going to have enough time in this session to go over everything, because this one is obviously something we need to dig into a bit more. But what we were able to do, and because everybody felt comfortable, people could almost self-identify whether they needed to be part of a splinter discussion on that. So the team could kind of form around the problem and pick it up on a separate session, and that seemed to happen quite easily. People would just volunteer themselves. Oh well, I need to be a part of that, and this somebody from app development needs to be a part of it as well. And you could just trust those people to go off and solve that thing, and then at the next ceremony they come back and present it again. So I think that structure of sprint work can kind of help to facilitate getting through some of those challenges as well. I suppose we should move on to the next section. So what made you a success? Yeah, so from your point of view, such a big question, but what makes the product a success, do you think?
Yeah, so it's how would I say this? We can call it already a success because we have now 18,000 clients with open accounts, so which is a 1.5 months, which is good. This means already the product is a success because people are. We know that we are enjoying also the momentum because other neobanks, they have opened also launched their apps in the past, so like 2, 3, 4 years ago, and we know now that some of these, just to get 10,000, they took 2 years, or because there was no trust, people did not trust. Of course, we're enjoying this momentum, but at the same time, we know that the product is so solid, it's so good, that the experience that we're offering, it's now at one of the tops of experiences in these types of apps, because obviously there's a lot of them right now, and we were smart enough to not just do another one like those, but to move a step up. So obviously adoption is a success because people, they're adopting. We see that people in the app also, we have a lot of active clients within the app. They just don't open the app because the idea is that the app is used. So every day we have a lot of clients. I would say almost half of the bases, they're active by day. So with the disclosure, I don't know every number. So, but yeah, and also it's out there. It's launched, so it's the proof is that it is alive
in the wild.
in the wild, exactly. And there would be something more from a strategic part, which is that the app today it's modular. So we have these 3 pillars of the app, and maybe in one country one thing will work, in another country it will not work. But in there we would open, if we would see it would be interesting enough, just one part of the app or the other, which is this modularity also that brings the app so to such a scaling level that for us was important to develop.
Ooh. I think the next one was what makes you unique, and we've got another video to play briefly, so I'll set that one going. Well, I mean, yeah, you can see from there are just almost too many features that make it unique to mention, and especially 15 minutes left. But yeah, I guess watching that video gives you a bit of context to imagining us being in rooms discussing all these features to their minute detail as well. But I guess one thing I wanted to talk about quickly was one of the most exciting things for me was like how we shaped the experience with style, and there was this kind of evolution of the pieces of UI that weren't functional. We ended up creating this conceptual vision of the 3 pillars utilizing the U branding, so kind of using the U letters as like a landscape, which was actually pretty tricky to get right. And then we found certain situations where we're designing, there was a need for illustration required to like either set the scene or evoke emotional connection, communicate abstract concepts. And at the time, in order to complete the work, some of them were kind of somewhat different to where they are now. Quite apparent if you look at them as they're on the screen here, like as a collection. At this point in time in the design process, they could have almost belonged to any brand. So the MVP style that was conceived here needed to be expanded into a universe by like iterating and personalizing to the brand to make it unique to you as a wider brand. By this point we'd produced like a style guide and component library and design system, and this, as well as like the stuff the wider marketing teams were doing, advertising and marketing, all played into the influence of the evolution of the illustrative style. And so the unique style we ended up with was kind of created in this systematic way to satisfy the needs of brand as well as practical ongoing use. And illustration worked as a style for us because it enabled us to like communicate abstract concepts in a really simple and engaging way. So this is going back to like, finance can be intimidating, it can be complicated, and actually illustration kind of enables storytelling. You can include like subtler emotions, or communicate more complex situations, expressing them like unconstrained by written language as well, and really kind of gave us like the power to create the reality we wanted. And you can consider diversity from the outset as well, so it opens up opportunities to appeal to a much wider audience, because illustration can easily include references and nods to different cultures, identities and abilities. And yeah, so we created this system which was a working system. So to satisfy the brand, it needed to be consistent and appeal to the audience and actually allow the audience to identify with it. And then on the practical side, there was going to be a team of people using this stuff to produce artworks, and so it had to be enough like variety of reusable assets, and be easy enough to use and compose, but still keeping it on brand. So yeah, what we produced was this system that had a variety of different types of assets like backgrounds and people and props and then expressions, all sharing like a unified mood, which was the style, which was identifiable to the brand. And the people then were like designed to capture that free spirit, the freedom of being in control of your money, and they are kind of purposefully diverse and inclusive, because we wanted to create environments in which any individual or group could feel welcome and respected. As the U app is about breaking new ground, so we wanted you people to reflect that mindset. And it was important to me, like just kind of small elements, like there were 9 heads to choose from in the library, but they could go on any of the bodies, swapping in and out. Like I didn't want there to be any kind of restrictions like, oh, you can't put this head on this body because this is woman or man or whatever. Like I just wanted it to be really free and like unconstrained by that, which I think also kind of reflects that millennial mindset as well. I think obviously there's been a lot of talk about this stuff in the last year or so. So yeah, then just kind of quickly to run through, there was like a section of backgrounds, lifestyle and abstract ones. There were props to help communicate the message, and expressions layered on top to indicate like emotional or physical reactions. And yeah, this kind of ongoing evolution of the brand style, I was also super keen for the sort of marketing team using it to feel like really empowered to do what they want with it, because we knew that everything in that in the library was going to be consistent and on brand. So it's almost like, please feel free to experiment, and it's been really exciting to see what people have come up with. But I mean, all through this process of producing this, this style and the style system, there was this kind of relationship between what the marketing teams were doing, what we were doing, what the app, what we were doing in the app, and everything else, and everything was feeding off each other. And I know, José, you described yourself as being the eye of the storm. So I wondered if you had like a perspective you wanted to share on that process.
Of course, and I was really in the center, because when we started developing some of this stuff and when we were in Bristol, I was sharing with you guys what the agency, Cavalcade, our agency, creative agency, the advertising agency, they were doing, and this brought a lot because it was inspired by dancing. The first video you guys saw in the beginning, so a lot of stuff here was already being there was like this kind of I don't know how to say it in English, but osmosis, like it was becoming the same, and you said, oh, this is real good, so you had already that in mind, and I was trying to facilitate all of these at some point, because it was important that I would have to say yes, go here, and then at the same time get the information on the other side of what we were producing. So the communication aspect and the coordination was so important, because in the end we wanted exactly the same thing, is that what was being what would come out from an advertising campaign as the hero campaign, the elements, the graphical elements that we were producing that were now going to be used in the website and in the app also would need to fit, and the mood of the brand, really the brand, we need to feel the same. So from my perspective, it was important to have this library so that we could explore the most of it in terms of scaling the brand, because you can have the big hero campaign which will last for a moment, but then when it comes to more tactical stuff, you need to adjust, and you need to have something which is usable, which is friendly, which is also on brand and not and recognizable, and this is pretty important. So having this, it's important to scale and that the brand lives a little bit longer, and not just having different stuff every day. So, and we need also to have in mind that people will see this 1, 2, 3 times. Well, they will not see this every day as we're seeing it us. So it will last for a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was kind of when we were collaborating together at the beginning of creating this system of illustrated assets in the world. Like that was our mindset from the beginning, was like making sure everything could work in this modular way and be expanded on, and almost we can add to the library as much as we need to and whenever we need to. And now it's being expanded into the animated version of the library as well. So there's a few bits of animation in the presentation we shared today, so you get a little snippet of that, but I'm excited to see those kind of being fed into the wider world as well, and into the app. So it just feels like this kind of ever expanding universe that's been created, and it's dead exciting to be a part of it. So I mean, I think we've already kind of mentioned about or you spoke about the reaction to the launch, so I suppose we don't need to go too into depth on that one, but unless you wanted to say anything extra about it.
No, maybe just that there was a lot of reviews on the press that they were very good. So one or two less good, which is okay. Also, we need to we know this is a product that we have just launched, so there's a lot of stuff to improve and to add up. But the goal here is to get the experience right and not just get the features, because or else we would put a list of features and just develop them. We want the experience to be correct, because in terms of perspective for the product and in objectives and in goals for this product is that the experience is one of the drivers. So we need to make sure when we add something here, it feels like something which was supposed to be there and not just something else that we want to give. So
yeah, and I guess that brings us to, I think we've got maybe 5 minutes for a question that Henry.
Sorry, Henry.
Also, no, it's fine. No, I could listen to this all day. Honestly, no, it's such an awesome app and such a nice story of kind of effective and like enjoyable collaboration. Like you can see your smiles when you talk about it. Right, it's really nice to see. And like, yeah, I loved what you said about, you know, the focus on guidance and feedback, and you know the importance of trust, kind of in this collaboration, which is really good. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please do submit them using the Q&A function. And I will try and get through as many as I can in 4 minutes. But I mean, first up, I'd love to know, as I'm sure kind of anyone else watching from the UK does too, like, will this app be available in the UK? And if so, when?
So right now it's not available in the UK. We need to make sure that in our first market everything goes well. So in Switzerland everything is all right. It will expand to Europe and hopefully to the UK. I would not say this year still, but in a year's time, let's see what time brings us. But we would love to go there, because it's already a mature market in these terms, and people I think they would adopt something like this pretty easily, even if it's to experiment and to try it and to see and to compare. But let's hope it will come quickly.
Awesome. Cool. So I've got a question from Simon. So I know you spoke about your challenges, you know, your kind of geographical, culture, and obviously the pandemic as well. But Simon asks, if you could do the whole process again, is there one thing that you'd do differently from a collaboration perspective?
Oh, it's a tough one.
Do differently. Maybe I would stay there 2 more days.
That was the thing that crossed my mind, like, more time together, or maybe if you came over sooner.
Yeah, I think like having 5 days to be with the team, and it was a matter of timing so that we could move forward. But I think if we had 5 days, I think it would have changed some things. We would go more into the depthness of interactions and all the things I spoke to, because the rest of it, I think it was pretty well nailed. I don't know for you, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just in retrospect, having you sort of planning in you visiting and us doing that workshop together, or even just doing more of that kind of design workshop style working, even if it wasn't in the same room, but earlier on in the process. I think I described it as like, we were creating polished concepts, when really in retrospect, it worked better when we were sharing the inception of ideas. So, but that, it didn't really hold us back in the end. We came to understand that at the right point. So I don't know if I would change it or not, but it's that's the one thing that crossed my mind.
Awesome. No, thank you so much. No, it's such an interesting story, and such a great story on collaboration. I think that's just about all we've got time for. So thank you to you both, and thank you to everyone that was watching. Up next, we have Liz Hubert and Diana Sonis of CX by Design with their talk, Honest Collaboration, Collaborating When Things Get Real. That is at 3 p.m, so in exactly an hour. You can still sign up, so head over to Eventbrite and grab your free pass there. And yeah, hopefully we will see you in an hour. Again, Jose and Emily, thank you very much, and we'll see everyone soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.